So we'll start we'll just back up a moment. We'll start from Tainus Esther, as mentioned yesterday in Shal Shudis. We said that the Pshat in the Tainus Esther is different than the other Tanesim. The other 4 Tanesim, you're fasting for a tzara that happened. You fast because the base of Mikdash was destroyed, because there's different things, and it's still relevant. We still need to get rid of the issue. The base of Mikdash still not rebuilt. So we fast for those. But on Tainus Esther, the Rambam says we're fasting for Zecha for the Nes, for Zecha for the Tainus that they fasted. When did they fast? They fasted a few times. When Esther went in, they fasted for 3 days. That's one shot. And they also fasted on Yom Gimel. When we make the Tainus Esther, they fasted on the day of the war, the day they fought the battle. That was the Ikar Nes happened on the 13th day. So there's 2 reasons why we have a Tainus. One is to remember the fasting we did when Esther went in, and the second is the fasting that happened at the time of the war. But the Rambam says it's Zecher for the fasting. Now, I don't mind eating hamantash and Zecher for Purim, but to fast Zecher for the fasting is a little, it's a little going overboard maybe, It's a long day. Mark was just mentioning, we have fair start in the morning. They switch the clock already, and then you don't eat till after the Megillah. This is a long one. So just for a zeicha for the Tainus. So we said yesterday this Pashim Shat that it's different than the other Tanesim, that it's not a Tainus for Tzara, but it's a Tainus as part of the Yom Tov. It's actually like a one long Purim from Tainus Esther into Purim, because the Megillah is divrei Tzaimes Zakosam. The Megillah is the words of the fasting and the prayers. In other words, the main point of the whole Megillah is that Klal Yisrael went through a situation, and they put on sackcloth, they did tshuva, and the Hashem listened to the tefillas. There was a gzeira, lahashim, laharga, lahabed, and then it was all taken away. It was all taken away because they davened, literally overnight. So this is the power that we have. And this is a part of the lesson, or one of the main lessons of Purim, is that we have this ability. So Tainus Esther is part of it. So it's actually part of the Purim is to have Tainus Esther. Because the fasting and the davening is part of the process of Purim, of understanding that our tefillas are answered at all time. Right, so that's and this we have all the time. This is relevant any time of the year and any generation. We have to, internalize this lesson. I had mentioned that the similarities between the Haman and Hitler and Machshimon is almost unbelievable. What the Lahashim, the Harag, the Abid, what they wanted to do to the T, as Mamash should say. And it just gives a picture of what could have happened by Haman if has his decree gone through. So, and all it was the same. Also, that he sent letters to all the Medinas, and everybody was great with it. It wasn't like we said yesterday that they weren't a nation that was put down. They were a nation that was invited to the Shushan, to the king's palace to have a party. And the second Suda on Shushan Purim was some Hajjoshim was only Yidden. It was a party that was a feast. They were treated like grand citizens. It wasn't simple. They were close to the Malachas. They were very close to the kingdom. It was very democratic a society to some degree, and they were held in high esteem. And all of a sudden, letters were sent out overnight. Nobody knew about to all the Medinas, and everybody's all excited to go and kill all the Jews. It's amazing. It's amazing on the concept, but that's what happened. And we have the ability to daven and turn it around. And sometimes we forget. I heard from Shimshon Pinkas, he said that if the Klal Yisrael would have davened, you don't find today, when we have a tzara, we find Yom Tefillas, people go out and they gather and daven, and it's an amazing thing, and it actually works. And he says, I don't know where he gets this from, but I've heard it from a number of people besides him, that had Europe gone ahead and made Yom Tefillas and daven, it would have thwarted it. It's hard to know, but we know tefillas work. And we don't find that they responded in that way.
Do we not think that the European Jews...
We don't find that they responded in that way to make tefillas around the clock, you know. And Eretz Yisrael they did. When they were coming up towards Eretz Yisrael, and the Taka stopped. So it's hard to know. You know, who knows? I'm just saying we know that we have a power of tefillah. We know that. And we know it works. So that's the lesson. That is the lesson of Purim. If anyone has anything they need it done for, that's the time. Tanis Esther, it says, it's brought down that tefillahs are answered then.
You should have done them before the last election.
More.
No?
Yeah. Should have made it right tefillah, yeah. No, he's right. Who knows what could happen? Still daven.
It's true too.
It's
true too.
So
the Nazis were conscious of the model of Purim. There are several indications that they knew
Purim,
that they were following the footsteps.
Right. And we know that at the end, you know the story.
Purim Spiel,
Purim Fest.
Purim Fest, right.
Purim Fest, yeah.
What is that?
This is by the hanging. They killed 10 Nazis. So when they hung up, which one was it? One of them.
One of them shouted out Purim.
Purim Fest, and if you look in the Megillah...
One of the Nazis said that?
Yeah, nobody knew what he was saying. It's documented. And if you look in the Megillah, so by the Seres B'nai Haman, right, the Chumash, I'll show you. Some of these things come out, you know. If you look at the Megillah at the end here, by Seres B'nai Haman, so you have a small tuf, you have a small shin, and you have a small zayin. That's tuf shin zayin. You have a large vav. What's the vav for? When did it happen on the trial?
40.
Oh, Vav Alafim. 45. Tuf shin zayin happened. 47. Tuf shin zayin. So that was the year it happened. Shin Zayin. And the Vav is 6 Alafim. 6,000. 500. Tuf Shin is 6,000. Yes, 6,707. That's what happens. Pella. Okay. So we have Tanis Esther, and that's it's a time to our tefillas to be neskabel. Kava Yosha. Kava Yosha writes, Kol mi shetzorach rachamim al eze dover. You should take the time out on Tanis Esther, and you should say Mizmor Chaf Beis of Tehillim. That's the Mizmor which refers to Esther. Yalas HaShachar. That's the Lamsech of the Yalas HaShachar. That Gemara says that was the tefillah that Esther said when she went into Achashverosh. And then it says over here, V'yiftach aloi shari rachamim v'yakubel tefilasi b'ratzit. So it's a time to daven. Okay, that's Tanis Esther. Tanis Esther naturally is not one of the more chomer d'katanesim. So if anyone has the issues fasting, it's less chomer than the other tanesim. Other tanesim are more v'chiyav. This one, a person, if needs to, could break it if he's not feeling well. The question is, when should a person break the tainus? I was asking for a guy who's not feeling well. Should he break it on the tainus or after the tainus? But there's a halacha that we don't eat until after the Megillah. We don't eat till after the Megillah. So, here we got a halacha here that you have to know. You have to ask a Rav. A person has to ask a Rav if you have a situation. It brings from the Das Torah that if someone gets weak from the tainus. I know if I fast, the next day I'm shvach. So if a guy gets weak from the tainus, so maybe he shouldn't fast because he's going to be weak on Purim. And the shter simchas Purim will take away from the simchas Purim. So maybe he shouldn't fast from the tainus. One has to obviously ask a shayla in all these cases. But it's a tainus that there's more reason to be makel if a person's not feeling well than the other one. Now, the shayla is after. We know that a person doesn't eat till after the Megillah. After the Megillah. Now, Now it's a chiddush. We know before any mitzvah, a person is not supposed to eat. Before shachos, a person doesn't eat. Before shofar, a person doesn't eat. Before before a person does a mitzvah, he's not supposed to. He's not supposed to go ahead and eat. So the question is, what does a person do? It's a long tiredness. He's not feeling well, and what aren't you allowed to do? So halachas, you're really not even supposed to. You're not even supposed to be toyim. Even te'imas also very machmer. Certain times we say, okay, you can be toyim. Person needs to eat in the morning. It could be toyim. You can take a little bit. Something take coffee without sugar, with sugar. The shaylos before the Megillah, for some reason we were very machmer that people that we don't eat. Yes, so they're machmer not to eat. So not even to have a tima, not even to have a taste. Right? So this is a question. This is a question. So, Maisa, if a person's not feeling well, they could, a person's not feeling well, he feels faint, he feels tired, they could definitely take a drink of something, take coffee if it's really necessary. But there is a shiloh that some people, maybe it's better if they broke the fast ate earlier to break the fast, and if they're not feeling well, a chayla, a potter from fasting, and then put Kriyas Megillah, the chayim Kriyas Megillah. So they have the issa to eat before Kriyas Megillah. So it might be better for the guy to break his fast earlier than to, You have to know. You have to ask a shiloh. But if a person's not feeling well, they could definitely take a drink beforehand. The question is if the woman, sometimes the women go to the ladies' Megillah, which is even later. It's after the men's Kriyas Megillah. It could be 10 o'clock at night until they get home. It's a 10:45. So this is a problem.
Just to clarify, when you said it's better to take a drink beforehand,
yeah.
While still the Zman of the fast or after?
While it's still Zman.
While the Zman of the fast.
Well, if it's Zman of the fast.
Yeah.
No, I'm not saying you should.
No,
I'm not saying you should. If a person's not a chayla, you shouldn't. I'm just saying that if a person's taka feeling sick, then he's parted from the tinus, he's allowed to eat. If a person's not feeling sick, he's allowed to eat. It says here, also lechel. Here, Allah Rama says, read you the words. Also lechel koidim sheyishma kriyas Megillah. Afilu hatainis koshalov. Even if the tinus is hard on him, it's also for him to eat. It says, if he's a weak person, Vashias and waiting yazikal briyase is going to damage his health, and it can come to chayling. And so first, he should just be time a little bit to take a little bite of something, and you don't need a sudi. Just take a little bite and take a drink. If it doesn't help, then he should lechol. If a person is going to be a chayla from it, then avada he should eat, and he should get someone to remind him. You have to make a Scheiner that he had in Megillah so you don't forget. Okay, that's the halacha. But Purim, if the person needs it, shouldn't be overly machmer. The person needs it. But that's the halacha. The halacha is that in general, a guy could handle it. He's just hungry. Okay, so you're hungry.
So if somebody's feeling faint, then that
he should drink. Yeah.
Should drink.
Yeah.
I mean, for women, the decree is like 10 o'clock at night.
Yeah, I mentioned that. Yeah. So for women, I saw there's some that want to be makeup for women. There's someone ready to make up for women, but Yashiv held there was a chiluk. They also chayiv in Megillah, just like men. There's no chiluk between their chayiv and men's chayiv in Megillah. So there's really no reason that they should be more makel. So kacha. Rabbi said if a person's needs, who wants to say this? Is the Matnas SHABBOS Chaim wants to say that since they're totally in the husband, they're totally in the kriya of the husband. So in other words, they're not going to. It's as if their husbands are shayim over you. Mind them. It's a difficult heter. If a woman needs to eat, she could take something. It's a long day and she needs something, she should drink and take a little snack, but not to eat a meal she shouldn't do until after the Megillah. A muberes, a menekes, these people that aren't fasting anyways, it's better they should eat during the tainus. Right? They're mechuyev to fast anyways. They should eat by the tainus. Once the tainus is over, there's no head to muberes and menekes. Now they have a chiyuv Megillah, so they should eat by the tainus and then.
So if somebody is in their late stages of pregnancy, then
they have no chiyuv to fast at all.
They don't at all.
They have no chiyuv to fast. Yeah. Again, if a person needs it, they should drink something, take a coffee, take something. You know, that's pashut. That if a person needs it, they should do it. If a person doesn't need it, they're just hungry, like me. You know, I'm just hungry at the end of the day. But if a person needs it, then definitely should take a drink of something. I remember when I was in high school, first year in the 9th grade, so I was never a good faster. By the end of the Titus Esther, you know, I had a Rabbi. He was like, it wasn't like today's Rabbi that are chum with the boys. The Rabbi were people that sat and learned all day. You know, they came and gave a shiur. He took one look at me and he schlepped me downstairs and made me take something to eat and drink before the Kriyas Megillah. I wouldn't have gone on my own. You have to go. You're supposed to eat. But, you know, you have to be a little careful also. It's a long day. Akapadim, so there's a chiyuv that we had in Megillah twice. We had at night and we had in the day. And it's hearing the Megillah is, someone was telling me that on one of the shuls they have, I don't even know what this is, a sand show, a sand slide show. I don't really know what this thing is. They have for the kids, they watch. I said, so how do you listen to Megillah? He says, it's very hard. He keeps on looking up and down, you know. Distraction. When you hear the Megillah, so you have to hear every single word.
Is it a slideshow maybe?
Some kind of show, yeah. Sand.
Not slide. It's just be a bunch of
places,
pictures.
Yeah. For the kids to watch while they can go. But, you know, it's a distraction. A person has to hear every word of the Megillah, and if he misses a word, it's a serious shaila if he was yotzei. If he was yotzei. Brings down like this. So if there's a mistake, okay, you know, different mistakes, some are ma'akev, some are not ma'akev, you know, like Kriyas HaTorah. But shaila is if you miss a word, if you miss a word, if you're yotzei, it's a machlokes. It's actually a machlokes if you're yotzei. And the halachas Mishmur comes out that Shmigami Yeza Tevis, you have to be chayzer l'kol yalm. It's a machlokes. L'maisa we that's how we paskin. If you miss a word, you have to be chayzer. Questions word S if you have to be chayzer. If you're missing a word, the person has to go back. And therefore, they always give an eitzah that if you have a Megillah, you read along with the chazan. You should read along not loud because you disturb everybody else, but very, very low. Even though the halach is that you have to be a shmiel la'aznai, when you say it, you have to hear it. All the mitzvahs. When a person's yotzei, they're saying it, you have to say it loud enough that you can hear yourself. I wonder, by davening, many people daven, you can't hear them. You know, even if you had a microphone next to them, you wouldn't have hear them. They come out not saying it, but the halacha is you're supposed to be mashmiel la'aznai. You have to hear it.
Is it okay if you're reading from a printed?
We'll get to that in a moment. So you have to be mashmiel la'aznai. But that's avada l'chatchila. But the evad, a person's yotzei even without. So if you're hearing it from the chazan, so you're being yotzei with the chazan anyways. You're just worried you might miss something, so you say along very, very quietly. So that's the best thing. First of all, make sure that you're not going to miss a word because you're following. If you're saying it along, you're following. So you're making sure you're not missing a word. It's a good idea by Kriyas HaTorah also. And second of all, in case you do miss a word, you said it. In case you do miss something, you said it. I would never suggest to anyone, if you missed a word, to try to, some people do, they go back and try to read it themselves. I tell this to my wife all the time. She thinks maybe she missed a word, and she goes back and tries to read it. You'll never catch up to the Baal Korah. He's much more proficient. He knows how to lane, and he's practiced, and he's going 70 miles an hour. You're not going to catch up to him so fast. So if you miss a word, if you're listening the whole time, you probably didn't miss a word. You know, you're standing there and you're listening. You think you might have missed something, but if he said it and you're standing there and you're listening, you probably heard it. If he didn't say it, then you have a problem. But if he said it, you probably heard it. So, but the best thing is if you have a Megillah. If you don't have a Megillah, you're following with a Chumash. So it's not necessarily preferable that you say it along, because the Koira Al Peh is not Yotze. Right? Bal Peh is not Yotze, and the Chumash is considered Bal Peh. So it's best to listen. You can follow along with your finger on the place. That also helps, to follow along. You could say the word, some people say by Haman, you say that pasuk or something, or that little bit along in case you missed the word Haman with everybody banging. But otherwise, you just listen. But it's important to because if you miss something, I don't want to hear a home kill again. Okay. What? People bring little kids.
Babies.
Yeah, people bring little kids. Kids are not old enough to sit and listen. They're not chayiv in chinuch.
So what does a mother do?
Chinuch if a kid can't.
What does a mother
listen.
do then? She has to be with her baby.
She got a babysitter. Switch off.
Comes with different reading and with the father.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Smart guy. Where were you 20 years ago?
I was home with the baby.
Doesn't always work, that's how it goes. So they have a chiyuv to hear Megillah, also the woman, but you have to be careful. Okay, that's basically the halachas. Different things, whether it's makav or not. You ask a shayla if it's really negeya. We say at the end, right after the Megillah, you say the brachas. Also, you have the brachas before and the brachas after. So the brachas, a person has to be to the brachas, right? So you make the brachas, and then you have afterwards at night you have the bracha rovas vivenu. In the day you don't make that bracha, right? You just say Asher Heini, because you don't say the Yitzvus. If you say Yitzvus, you don't have to say Asher Heini at the end. Okay, but anyways, you don't say Yarura Haman. You're supposed to say Or Haman Baruch Mordechai Rozeresh. That's halach. You're supposed to say that. I'm supposed to say that. It's part of the lesson of the Megillah. Baruch Mordechai and Or Haman. It all goes together. But we say the brachas before and after. In the day, the brachas go also on the mitzvahs hayom. Now it's very interesting. If you look at the Mishabur brought down from the Chayadim, I think, that it brings down that the brachas go on the mitzvahs hayom, go on Shalach Monis and Sudas Purim. Sudas Purim is the mitzvah hayom. So when you make a shaykh, not all the brachas, shechiyanu, you're making a shechiyanu, you have a mind for all the mitzvahs hayom. Charles, what about matanas avyonim? Matanas avyonim, he doesn't mention. He doesn't mention matanas avyonim as being part of the mitzvahs hayom. Right? So the question is, why is that not why is that included? So there are others that Taka put it in. Over there. There are others that bring in that by Shechyanu you should have in mind also for the Matanas Avyonim. But there could be it's a machlekes. What's the mitzvah of Matanas Avyonim? In other words, we have a few mitzvahs in a day. You have Kriyas Megillah. We know that's a mitzvah. Kriyas is Halel, is part of the Halal, Sachi of Kriyas Megillah. Then you have a mitzvah Sudas Purim. That's for Simcha. Mishta v'Simcha. You're supposed to have a Suda. We'll get to that later. And then also you have Mishloach Manis and mitzvah Shalach Manis. Why is Shalach Manis? Is to Ishla Yehu, is to be Marbereus. It's to Marbereus. We'll talk about the reason for that also. But basically, it's a mitzvah for Purim to make reis. Matanas Avyonim is mitzvah staka. Staka you have a mitzvah all year. So the shaila is Matanas Avyonim just part of the general mitzvah staka? Just we say on Purim you should give it extra, not like it for Maisa, it has to be extra Matanas Avyonim, or it's also a part of the mitzvah Simcha, because in Sameach Ta'anim, as part of Simcha that everybody should be happy, not just you're happy. Everybody should be happy. make everybody happy. It's Matanas Havyonim. So it's part of Mitzvah Simcha. So if it's a special Mitzvah Hayom of the Mitzvah Simcha, so then the Shechiyonu goes on that also. But if it's just a Prat Mitzvah Staka, so it could be there's no Shechiyonu on that because you do it all year. Do all year Mitzvah Staka. The other nafkabinas does the ani have to give Matanas Havyonim? Child, the ani. A guy is Evyon. Evyon, does he have to give Matanas Havyonim? Right? Ani has to give tzedakah, generally speaking, but he's yaitze with a small amount for the whole year. You give a few prutas for the whole year, he's yaitze. That's his chiyuv. So the question is, does he have to give separate Matanas Havyonim? So this is a special mitzvah simcha, so it could be he'd be mechuyev to do it. He has also part to make the simcha. But if it's just part of the mitzvah staka, so then, if it's part of the mitzvah staka, so then it could be he's partner. It's part of himself. He's very yaitz all year. So Shiloh is mechuyev, but everyone is mechuyev to give Matanas Havyonim. The Rambam writes. We brought a Rambam here, pretty close to Washington here. People give out. I would say this every year. People give out a lot of. People give out a lot of shalach manos. Right? So Rambam writes it's more important for a person to be marbe in Matanas Havyonim than in shalach manos. You know.
And Suda, they say the same about Suda.
What do you mean Suda?
You should spend more on your Matanas Havyonim than you do on your Suda.
The Suda, so I'll read the Rambam here. Mutav lo Adam. Oh, you're right. Mutav lo Adam laharbois b'Matanas Havyonim milaharbois b'Sudasa b'Mishleich Manas Leveyav. She'ein sham simcha g'dolim fu'ara elo samach lev haniyim. No bigger simcha than to be mesameach haniyim. Yisayim v'Almanas v'Geirim she'mesameach lev hamlolim ha'elu doim l'Shechina. Person makes them happy. He's doim to the Shechina. Shem lahachiyas ruach shafar mahachis lev v'kam. That's the Rambam. So a person should be marba in Matanas Havyonim. Now the ikar mitzvah Matanas Havyonim is to give two Matanas to two Havyonim, right? Matanas Havyonim. So you have to give to 1 to 1, 1 to 1. You have to give a Matana to two Havyonim. That's the mitzvah. How much is Matanas Havyonim? How much you have to give Matanas Havyonim? So the Mishnah means like this. The Mishnah means that the Ritva says even 2 prutas, as long as you give a pruta to each one, is enough. And others say that l'chatchila you should give davar haroi lehenas mimenu b'Purim, ma'ichalei mois, shechalotzi b'Purim. Besides the fact that you should give something they can use. The purpose of Matanas Havyonim is something they can use on Purim, money or food, something they can use on Purim, not clothing. But others say you should have to give enough for a suda, something that could be nena for. I saw from Rabbi Yashiv that he holds that today you could be not yotze with that. It used to be a pruta was a large amount. It was something which was gave simcha to an ani. Today you give a ani a nickel or a dime, he'll throw it back at you, right? He has no simcha from it whatsoever.
Well, if it has to be more than what your suda is worth.
Yeah. So I say even if we the ritva that says a pruta, but also if it's a suda today you could buy $2.50. You could get a slice of pizza, something $3, $4. You could get something. So that mikra din that would be enough to be yotze. But Yashua says that it could be today. It's also not considered a davar chashav. We're not talking about only coming around collecting, every shachris, mincha, ma'ariv. It's okay. You got to give just a little pruta. You just have to give between everybody. He has enough. But the mitzvah Matanas Havyonim is that I should give him something, not that collectively he gets from everybody.
But according to the Rambam, if you're spending $50 on your suda, you should be giving at least $50 to Matanas Havyonim.
There's a chiyuv. The question is what the chiyuv is, and the question is why the person should do. The Rambam is saying mutav. It's better for a person to be marba on Matanas Havyonim and marba on a suda. The shals, how much the person have to give to be yotze is mitzvah. How the person should be marba as much as he could. It's a big mitzvah. But the question is how much you mechuyev to do. So Rabbi Yashiv holds that it should be. He said, and this is back like 10 years ago, a little more. He said you should give 50 shekel. How much is 50 shekel? $12, $13. That was back then, like 10, 15 years ago. Today, Muslim person should give.
17?
What?
I'm on exchange right now.
What?
$17.
Oh, Canadian. I was talking about American now.
Thousands.
Mustam is something that gives simcha to ani. You give an ani a $20 bill, it gives him simcha. Again, you the mitzvah by giving it to one, two aniyim. Everybody else comes around, you can give a pruta. You don't have to give more. You don't have to give more.
Is there a chiv in chinuch for matanos avayim?
So for the chinuch and for these kids, it's a shabbos chiv in chinuch. If you want to give for everyone else, you give you can be yotze with $5 place. But for yourself, a person should be mahadir to give it, give something to an ani which he feels which makes a difference. It's something that he gets a simcha from. Today you make collections and you give out, so the only gets l'maisa collectively. He gets, a chaticha rulis chavit. You get a couple of $1,000, which is nice for a person that makes a difference. But sometimes you see a guy in the street, he's a real oni. You need money. You give him a $20 bill. I'm telling you, he'll be giving you brachas. I'm telling you, he won't stop giving you brachas. You did the mitzvah. The guy needs the money. You give him a $20 bill. The guy's mamash. Dances away. I'm not saying b'choyev to. The chayev could be enough with $5 is enough for a suda today. But the Yashav held that they could mitzvah to give a simcha. What?
You have to give separate for your wife also, right?
Yeah, you should be mezaka for your wife. It could be you have a shared account, so you could just give for your wife. But if you're giving for a kid or someone else, you should be mezaka them the money. They have a mitzvah to give it from their money, so you have to be mezaka the money. Have someone pick up the money for them. The gabi could do it. You give the gabi stock, he puts it up for them, and then he takes it for himself. So this way they're zoicha the money, and then they're giving it as matanas avyonim. You got to do the technicalities of the halacha also, not just the spirit of the law. Technically, they gave the money, now you gave. So
matanas avyonim includes institutions too.
Matanas avyonim is not institutions. It's only for aniyim. I don't know what kind of institutions. Tue May SHABBOS is for aniyim, yeah.
No, I don't compare like food. That's
what?
Torah institutions.
Torah institutions, so that's, if the money's not going to aniyim, it's not matanas avyonim. Some Torah institutions, the money is going to aniyim. You have to know where the money's going in the end. So you wouldn't be yotze matanas avyonim with that. Avyonim is avyonim. That's the...
Sorry, can I just go back to Megillah question? I wasn't clear about if you're following along in a printed Megillah and you think you missed the word,
because you could say it outside. Yeah, I should have been clear on that. You're right. So the halacha is like this: when you hear the Megillah, so you have to hear it from the klaf, from the Megillah. But parts of it you could hear outside Baal Peh. You could say a word Baal Peh or two, as long as the main parts are said inside. That's the halacha. So if most of it is said inside and the main parts are said inside, so a few words you miss, you could say that by heart.
Thank you.
So that's the halacha. I should have been clear about that. So therefore you could read it yourself, even if you're reading from a chumash, Baal Peh, you can read it yourself, those parts. The only thing I'm telling you have to be careful that you don't miss, trying to catch up to the Baal Korah. That could be difficult. Yeah. So that's the mitzvah matanas avyonim. So mitzvah matanas has two things. First of all, you being masameach to ani. It's a shayla, or it's a mitzvah stock. You do both. So you're not yotze that with ma'aser. The extras you give you could yotze in ma'aser, but something you give from matzah to be yotze the mitzvah matanas avyonim, you're not yotze with your ma'aser money on that. Now it's not so simple. If a person gives more from matanas avyonim and he doesn't specify that he's giving it from ma'aser, it could be he can't be yotze his ma'aser with that. Let's say out of the goodness of his heart he gives $1,000 matanas avyonim. He's not mechuyev to give $1,000. He's mechuyev to give $20. He doesn't give $1,000. So, but he wants to do the mitzvah. He wants to mahad, like the Rambam says, more than a suda. He wants to give. So he gives $1,000 matanas avyonim. But he doesn't say that it's coming from ma'aser money. So it could be it's not good. You can't. It's good. It's yotze mitzvah matanas avyonim. It's gevaldige mitzvah. But you can't deduct that from your Maisa, because Matanas Avyonim cannot be deducted from Maisa, and if you're giving it because of Matanas Avyonim, there's no share of Matanas Avyonim. You give a lot for Matanas Avyonim, you know. We're not makbid if you give more. You know, so that's not taken off of your Maisa. So if you want to give extra, and you want it to come from your Maisa money, you should be clear. You should specify that this is, you know, I did my Matanas of Yodim, I'm giving extra on Purim, but it's from my Maisa money. You know, you're allowed to do that, but you have to be clear about that.
Oh, you can give as part of your Maisa money.
You can't give Matanas of Yodim as part of your Maisa, but once you pass the amount that you're mechuyev to give from Matanas of Yodim,
I see.
so if you want, you could do the rest of Maisa. I'm just saying you have to specify that, because if you just give stam from Matanas of Yodim, then that's not coming from Maisa money. You can't later go say, well, that was for my Maisa money. You can't do that, because Matanas of Yodim is a separate Mois Purim, which is separate. It's not part of your Maisa. Just to talk about, it's a little late, just talk about a little bit of Shalach Manas. Purim, one of the things to talk about here. Shalach Manas, also, what's the share, how much to give for Shalach Manas? I think this is something which people aren't aware of, and I think it's an important thing to know. But what's the amount the person has to give for Shalach Manas? So you have to give to one person, Ishel V'yeh, you only have to give one Shalach Manas. Each member of the family only has to give one Shalach Manas. And you have to give 2 monies. Okay, you give two portions. So,
it can be the same bracha?
What?
It used to be, I used to think it had to be 2 different brachas, but then I heard it
No,
could be
no,
the
no,
same.
it could be 2 different portions. It could be, there's a Shiloh if you give, in the Erev Tavshilin, you could give a dog, Ubeya Shalei, and you could give a fish that's smeared with eggs. That's considered 2 portions for Erev Tavshilin. So the Shiloh is for Shalach Manas, with that. L'maisa, it should be 2 separate things, but it could be anything. It doesn't have to be. It doesn't have to be different brachas. Give a drink. If you give a drink, it shouldn't be water. Water you're not yotze with. Some people want to know if you're yotze with soda, you know. It's just water, you know. Yes, my kid, it's not water, but if you ask, you know. So it's the child. But with a drink and wine for sure, I'd say wine and but how much you're supposed to give? How much is it supposed to cost? So it's interesting that the Aruch HaShulchan says like this. The Aruch HaShulchan says that you're not yotze with a shir kazayis and a meichel and revius of mashke. You're not yotze with that. The purpose of Shalach Manas is to be mabereus. Okay, you give. I remember I once went to a certain gvir, gave him Shalach Manas, he gives you back, and there was a few jelly beans in the thing, and some licorice, a small little, type of Shalach Manas you get from an oni. So that's not mabereus. What is that? That's not mabereus. So Aruch HaShulchan says you're not yotze yechiv Shalach Manas with a shir kazayis meichel and revius mashka. You need a money yafa, a chatzich haru l'schabed, according to the place. If you would send the guy a gift, what would you send him? If you would send him a proper gift, what would you send him? You send him a cake. It's very nice. You send him a cake. It's mabereus. You send over a cake. You send over 2 cookies and 3 jelly beans and that's a Shalach Manas. It's not a Shalach Manas. So the child is like this. Who the Chayodim says that you should give. It depends who you're giving to. If you're giving to a poor person, you give less. You could give whatever he considers simcha by him. If you're giving to a gvir, a rich guy, so you got to give bigger things, something which by him is a simcha. So Shalach Manas depends to who you're giving to. Now the emes is like this. There's two reasons giving in the paiskim for Shalach Manas. One reason is Trumas Hadeshen. Trumas Hadeshen is you're giving for the Suda. that the mitzvah shalach manas is mashim Rishonim like that. Because the mitzvah shalach manas is that the person should be giving him Sudas Purim. So that goes after the makabel. You're giving something that he could use for the Suda. That's the purpose of shalach manas. The Manas Halevi says, in the Sefer, he writes that the purpose of the shalach manas is really fakir, to be marbereus, like we said, because as Haman said, there's one nation that's separate, Mefurid and Mefuzah are separated. In other words, we're missing the Achdus of Klal Yisrael. So part of the Purim is to bring back the Achdus. So therefore we're marba on reis and we give out. So he says, so that's the so the mitzvah is to the makabel, to give him, what's good for him. So this depends on that also. This depends on that. So if the mitzvah is that each person should have their Sudas Purim, it could be both for the person that's getting it.
Is there also like a nafkamina that it has to be ready to eat?
It has to be ready to eat, yeah. It has to be ready to eat. Right. For self Suda, it should be ready to eat. It should be something which is ready to eat. Right. Let's say the guy doesn't want it. You send the guy shalach manas, and the guy doesn't want it.
Wow, really?
He sends it back. So he says, I feel bad to take such a nice gift, give it to someone else. I feel bad to take it. It's as if I took it. He doesn't send it back. He's angry. It's as if I took it.
He re-gifts it.
So the Chassam Sofer says like this: if the reason is you want to be marbereus, so that's as if you got it. You were marbereus. If the reason is for the Suda, he can't eat it if he sends it back. Another difference would be, let's say you send it, happens a lot, you send it to the guy, and you forgot you write your name on it, It happens to me, I got shalach manas, I have no idea who sent it. The guy didn't write his name on it, I'm trying to figure out who sent the shalach manas. So, was the guy Yoitze? Was the guy Yoitze shalach manas? He sent it, and I don't know what's from. So if the reason is that I should have a Suda, okay, I don't know what's from, but I have a Geshmak Suda. But if the reason is that I'm trying to be Marba Reyes, you want to have Reyes, I don't know who to be Marba Reyes to. I don't know who's my friend, I don't know who sent it. So,
yeah. Is it implicit from the fact that Marba Reyes, you can't be, would you be Yoitze if you give to a family member?
Yeah. So this is a question. Who's it better to give to? Is it better to give to a good friend? Or is it better to give to your worst enemy? Is it better to give to a good friend that I want to give, or a family member, someone I really want to give to? The Chiyuv Shalach Manas to give to one person. I don't have to give Shalach Manas to the whole world. To one person. So who should that person be? So the place can say it depends on this. If the reason is Altreus, so it could be the real Chiyuv is to your friend. You wanna. It says that you're supposed to be Knei L'Chochaver. You're supposed to buy a friend. You're supposed to spend money to have a friend. So you pick a guy who you really want to be close with, a guy you're friendly with, and you ma'abed a reis, you make it more. That's the mitzvah. So a lot of places can say the chiyuv is to give to your friend, Taka. That's your chiyuv to give to your friend. The Bach says that Bach says Meshloich Manas, but if you want to give to Avyonim, there's plenty of Avyonim out there, he says. But Meshloich Manas, you have to send to Oyev of Areyev. You may not even find one guy that's your best friend. Some people can't even find a friend. So he says, like it says, Knei L'Chochaver. This is the Bach talk.
That's where you try to buy them.
That's where you try to buy them, with money, because money talks. I mean, you got to make a friend somehow. So therefore, the Masakin that you should spend, that's why the Masakin you should give 2 manas l'reyeyu hatoiv, to be semech v'sasi ma'alachuas. You should get together a simchas mereim. You get together with your friends, and you make you speak about the Purim, how great Purim is. You do it with your friends. You do it with your enemies. It's not geschmack. That's what the Bach says. The Peliyoyet says, no, send it to, you want to be Marba Reis, better send it to someone that he's not so happy with you, and let him, well, you sent me a gift, okay, it's not so bad, you make up, it's a good idea. It's a good idea. You have someone that, it's been rough going, you send them Shalach Manas, it can smooth it over. It's definitely a good idea. But he says, the question is what the Ikka Mitzvah of Shalach Manas is. He says you should send it to him.
Send it to Bar Kamsa.
And chocolate and candy.
Right.
If Iker is the treat for the Suda, so I'm saying chocolate and candy is not exactly what people
You can have for dessert. You can have for dessert. The Morris says he used to send candies, a barrel of candies. We'll give us a few examples. Akopon and Malach L'maisa, you should first. I told my wife, why do we make him shalach manas? My daughter makes a little shalach manas. You know, has to be fancy this, fancy this. 2 cookies and 2 this. I said, well, not yours to shalach manas. If you're one person, you got to send one. You only have to do it with one person. To one person, you got to send a proper shalach manas, something which is makes a simcha. They got, whoa, this is geschmack, this is gewaldig. You know. Said, okay, she'll send to her parents something nice. Okay, good. You know, if you to something, you have to shalach manas to one person. It should be something which the guys in Osher you're sending to. It should be something which is proper. According to the Steichemet says that really it depends on the person that's giving. If the guy who's giving is an Osher, he's not yotze with giving a little bit. He has to give bigger manas. It doesn't matter if the guy who's getting. Some say it depends. The Chayotim says it depends on the guy who's getting it. So you have to mark them both ways. If the guy's a nosher, you have to at least give one that's proper shalach manas, and the guy that's getting, you're giving it to. You should give one proper shalach manas, and the rest you can give out. Doesn't matter.
When we were saying that if somebody sent it back, if the guy was actually happy with it, he says, thanks, but I'm fine. Right. So then you yotze.
It's a machloikas if you're yotze. Some say you're yotze.
But if he actually wasn't happy with it, then what?
Oh no, then maybe not.
So do you have to give him something else?
Yeah.
But you're not.
Someone else. If you're not happy, try someone else. Try to look elsewhere.
But you haven't fulfilled the mitzvah.
Right. Yeah. So I had a shiloh. Yeah.
What if you're invited to somebody's house and you're bringing them a bottle of wine?
Well, that's gewaldig. That's shalach manas. The suda. It says the machlof suda's padari. You bring the suda. If you're both all chipping for a suda and you bring a suda, that's mamash to bring a shalach manas. To bring the suda.
How about these tzedakah organizations that say you send out a card and
there's nothing to do with shalach manas. That's what I say.
But they claim on it that the Rabbanim say this is good.
Because you're giving it's a nice thing to do if you're giving shalach manas anyways. Again, you gave him shalach manas to someone, and you gave him matana sev yoinim, and he's doing gesudas. So the Shah's watch to do more of. Should I do more shalach manas or more matana sev yoinim? Yeah, so maybe Rabbanim says do more matana sev yoinim than shalach manas.
Yeah, but they actually
you're not yotze
claim that you're yotze.
The ones that give food,
the ones that give food, or the ones
if they give it on Purim, no, I don't know if it's yotze. I don't know.
In lieu, we all say in lieu.
No, it's lieu. Yeah, you're not yotze.
Lieu means instead.
Yeah.
It's instead of shalach manas. Doesn't mean that you're yotze shalach manas.
You're not yotze because the guy doesn't know who's sending it.
That's what they imply.
What?
Even if they give out shalach manas, even if let's say, even if Tue May SHABBOS, let's say, gives out, and you give money to Tue May SHABBOS, but they don't know what's coming from you. So if it's Marbereus, they don't know what's coming from. You're not used to shalach manas with that. It's a nice thing to do. People are raising money. You're helping them raise money. You're giving them money. It's a nice thing, but it's not shalach manas.
So if somebody sends you the shalach manas as you said before, and you don't know who it's come from, so if the guy who sent it to you is not yotze,
that's totally this. If your whole reason is for reyes, so you're not yotze. Yeah, I had a shiloh like this. The shilohs, let's say, you're not supposed to give shalach manas to an ovel, right? You're not supposed to give to an ovel. You don't give, but you give to his wife, you give to the family, but you can't give to him. Let's say you can't give to an ovel. So, but they say, if let's say the Rav is an ovel, Rabbi, your kid's Rabbi, you give shalach manas, you're allowed to give shalach manas. Why? Because you're not giving for shalach manas and marbereus. You're giving because it's a priyas chayv. It's an obligation. People give checks. People give checks to the Rabbi. They put in the checks into shalach manas, so they won't want to give a guy checks. You put in shalach manas, it looks nice. It's a way of honoring him. So to give a little gift in it. If you don't, to give shalach manas, but it's a way of a priyas chayv. That's what the place can bring down, that you're allowed to give even to a novel b'chiyai gavna. Right? So that's also. I don't know if you say. He brings down here from the from Steinbach and from Divim Akil. Divim Akil is no issue to send to Rav. Shalach manas is a novel. So I don't know if you're yotze shalach manas. If he's not a novel, if the pshat is a priyas chayv, you're not yotze shalach manas. Shalach manas is ma'abereus. That's the sum from shalach manas. to give him. Maybe it's an obligation. You're giving for obligation. Maybe not Yosef Shachmas. I don't know. How for Yotze with him. Make sure you give someone else also. Yeah. Wait, it's late already. Okay, so we're gonna have to stop here. So we should be zeichet to have a uplifting Purim. To remind that. And one of the mitzvahs we didn't get into is Adel Lo Yada. Adel Lo Yada. Right, it's part of the mitzvah Yom. But the ikar mitzvah is to, like the Miri says, that it's not to be mafchaz atzmein, and not to look like a drunkard lying on the floor in a drunken stupor. But the mitzvah is simcha shel tainig, a person should come to avos Hashem and Eidah and Anisim. A person should uplift themselves. There is a mitzvah Adel Lo Yada. There's a mitzvah Adel Lo Yada. There's a shayla how you mekayim it. But the way to do it, I was able to see in my some of my Rabbeim that they take a drink and they became higher people, not lower people. Torah came out of the mamish. Torah that you never heard when they didn't drink started coming out when they drank, and they were mamish crying over sorrow that other people had, and ways to grow in Yiddishkeit. The people are striving for godless. It comes out after they drank a little bit. But to be mavchus themselves, to become a lower person from that, that's chas v'sholom. That's not the mitzvah hayom. But we should take a bizoicha to get out as much as we could from Purim this year. What's the name of